This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Calling the meeting to order at a relatively early for us, 6:31 p.m. Welcome everybody. And let's see, is anybody, I believe everybody here is probably with Smith, but is there anybody here who is a member of the public that would like to speak about something? Jenny, you don't quite count as a member of the public tonight.
No, sorry, I just thought you were asking if there's anyone else on the Zoom aside from the Smith crew, but I'm not a member of the public.
Okay, and approval of minutes. Did everybody get a chance to read? Does anybody want to make motions? I basically lose you.
Can, yes. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
So I'll second it.
Motion has been approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
None opposed. Cool. Yay. Meeting minutes approved. All right, Sophie. And everybody else, hello, welcome, and take it away.
Awesome. I will let my Smith friends guide the discussion, give updates, anything like that, and I'm happy to jump in, answer questions, or facilitate as needed.
Yeah, we would love to give you a bit of an update on our project with its three main components being mapping, community outreach, and also a tree species list. So I'm going to start with some mapping updates. One of our main maps highlights high, medium, and low priority areas based on severe heat, canopy coverage, environmental justice communities, and what areas are actually plantable for trees. In our feedback, in your feedback and in our own research, the issue of flooding has been highlighted as a concern in Easthampton. I know a few years ago, there was a really major flood. However, when we overlaid FEMA flooding data, there was very little overlap between areas with low canopy coverage, extreme heat, and flooding risk. And so we just wanted to let you know that given this map result and also research in the literature, we think that increased tree presence may not be the most strategic solution to decrease flood risk or flood management, and it would be a disservice to present this as the best option to the town, where there might be better infrastructural options, such as some of the strategies that are outlined in the 2021 Green Infrastructure Plan. And so we're going to stick to focusing on increased canopy coverage as a way to combat extreme heat and other benefits to increase tree presence.
Yeah, and as Rena mentioned, we've overlaid our various different demographics and mapping variables with the plantable surfaces layer. So we used permeable surfaces that exclude paved over areas and infrastructured areas, houses, and then also just watered areas in order to create a figure that'll show the best areas to focus tree planting initiatives. And then we'll have another, hopefully, figure that we've started work on that's going to illustrate soil types, soil drainage levels, and then to the slope of the terrain. And these are some variables that we chose based on literature review and best practices from other priority planting analyses. And so we'll have a drainage classification score, 1 being the poorest draining soil area, 5 or 6 will be excessively drained, and we'll leave some guidance in correlation to what tree species will work best in which areas. And that's where we're at with the mapping. We're coming to hopefully to an almost done point there, but that's the update on that front. And then I'll pass it off to Lainey, who has some updates on community outreach strategies and how to be implementing these initiatives.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I've been working on a community outreach plan. So I've been compiling a bunch of suggestions that can improve education in the community, hopefully build some volunteer base, involve the community a little bit more. And I have a list and a write-up that's in its draft form at this current stage, but I'm incorporating feedback that we received from our professor. And I've given a ranking, 2 rankings on each of the suggestions, from low, medium to high on administrative capacity required to perform each item, because that's something that has been a potential concern when it comes to like engaging with the community. And then also a ranking, also low, medium, high of the relationship building that each action will make with the community. So ranging from incorporating a volunteer tree corps is going to be higher on the relationship building scale versus like sending out monthly email newsletters. So I guess like at this point, I'm kind of shifting my focus into hopefully providing the city with something that can actually be like passed out to people in the form of like a fact sheet, potentially some very basic flyers on the benefits of trees, maybe some talking points. But yeah, primarily like looking at like a fact sheet that could sit on a table at an event, or that could be kind of passed out when people have questions about that. And that will have hopefully using some of our maps that Raina and Julia have been working so hard on to educate people on, where we need trees in Easthampton and why that's important. So if you have any feedback on that, be good.
Very, very cool. One thing I would be interested in is anything that can combat the scourge of insurance companies telling people to cut down their trees and people just being like, oh, I can cut down 7 trees for the price of 1. Great. Because that's actually a thing that happens these days is insurance, somebody will lose like a limb on a tree and an insurance company will use it as an excuse to cut down every single tree on that person's property. And it's but yeah, that would be one thing I'd love to see some extra stuff about, but that is random. So
yeah, I can look into that. Cool. So that's all on the community outreach stuff, and I can pass over to Ellery, who has some updates on tree inventory or tree species.
So the right now I've been kind of compiling a list of native tree species, and I guess kind of organizing what traits they have, what conditions they prefer, stuff like that. And the intended outcome is that with the mapping, kind of organizing some of these high priority zones by their conditions, and then hopefully creating lists of tree species that would be best adapted for each of these distinct zones, hopefully. So so that has been going pretty well so far. One question that I have is that I'm trying to keep it like native species exclusive, but I'm wondering what people's opinions are about native cultivars, like for example, like thornless cultivars of like native species, or like other native cultivars that may not have like 100% of the same ecological benefit, but are still the same species. I'm wondering what people's opinion of that is.
Danny?
My opinion on that is, and I appreciate you bringing it up, I think it's a really important consideration. I would prefer to stick to straight species native whenever possible. If there's like a really prevailing reason to recommend a cultivar, I could see including it with a rationale, for instance, if it's unable to be sourced. But I don't know, my feeling is that like there's a sufficiently broad range of native trees that like hopefully we can find the right tree for the right context. Just because I do really want to keep in mind ecological benefits to pollinators and other species that are using them for habitat. And you seem very well aware of the limitations that cultivars offer. I also think it's an important opportunity for educating the public about the value of natives. So if we're compromising that by using cultivars in the first place, I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity. But also, like, as a landscape designer, I occasionally have the need to use a cultivar if I can't find, the right thing. So, like, I get it.
I guess my understanding is that the cultivars pretty rapidly drop off on the benefits as like host plant, or potentially also for benefits to the symbiotic like pollinators and stuff. Less so like the sort of generic pollinators that seem to be able to use a wider variety of flowers, but like certainly the ones that are specifically adapted to if it's another species, like that's going to drop off rapidly. So I guess the question I would have is, you know, if there is any research or evidence, you know, if you're looking at a cultivar, is there any research or evidence about like what kind of like effect it has on its ability to be a host plant or its interaction with species for which it is like particularly symbiotic. And you know, again, I think on average, to Jenny's point, that drops off rapidly. But you know, in any case where we have a good indication that it doesn't, then you know that would also be great. So, but that is a lot of extra research to be done, which I think pulls back around to where we can, you know, avoid and have specific reasons for, yeah. So mostly agreeing with Jenny, coming at it from a slightly different point, but.
All right, thank you.
I was just gonna say the public outreach piece as well, like we're working to really try to explain to people why native species are so important. And so just to kind of go along with what Sean and Jenny have said, that I think that's another great opportunity for public outreach to show the importance of and the ecological benefits of native species, if that's at all possible.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that would tie really nicely into our proposed goals for the community outreach plan.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think those are all the updates we have on our end. Again, thank you for the feedback both today and also on our proposal. That's super helpful. If there's any other questions or thoughts, we'd love to hear it. But otherwise, thank you.
Great. If you guys wanted to like preview any of the maps or anything, that might be really cool.
Yeah, if I could share my screen, I could show you a map right now, but I could also send it in an email later.
I would love a screen share if we can figure that out, which we should be able to. I might have to like approve it.
Okay.
That's the figuring out part, is I haven't had to approve that sort of thing yet, but assuming that doesn't blow up on us.
It says you are not allowed to share your screen.
Hold on, okay. What if I
think you make somebody a co-host.
Yeah, I think I have to make you a co-host, which should be fine.
Oh, I'm now a co-host. Okay, this is a preliminary map, but it is of priority sites. Easthampton, can you see it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great. So again, a first draft, but the red is sites that it would be really beneficial to plant trees. Orange is medium and yellow is less so. Yeah, I would love to.
When we say sites, are we talking about parcels? Are we talking about what's the definition there?
I do not have an exact definition for you, but I can get back to you on that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Be really curious because the dots look really fine grained.
If I zoom in, is that easier?
Yeah. It does rather look like parcels.
Mm-hmm.
But could be wrong.
Yes, because this is based off of impervious, like plantable versus implantable. So I think what this is showing right now is just it's like the negative space of any built up areas. So anywhere that there's, just straight concrete or a house or something like that. So I think it's probably something along the lines of parcels.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I have a quick question, and I don't know if this is something that's even doable, but would there be a way to add some kind of layer or metric so that publicly owned land versus privately owned land is clearly marked, just for like my future reference of like, is this land owned by the city or is it on a private property? Like, is there a way to kind of add that element?
Yes, we can totally do that. That's something that we're working on. There's a way to do that through some of the census data layers and stuff like that. So we definitely have a pathway to get that on our figures.
Great, thank you.
I could stare at this for a while, but
we can also send over some of our drafts in
I would love to see that. That'd be really fun.
Same here.
I mean, I'm going to be useful, but I'm going to enjoy it.
Sounds good. We'd be happy to.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you for the brief show of the early work, or the not early work, but like the work in progress.
Yes.
But yes, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, alrighty. Sophie, I believe garden planning next steps is.
Yes. So after we did our site visit last week, we had a DPW meeting where I asked if it would be at all possible for us to coordinate a chip drop to that area. And Greg seemed to think it was not a problem at all. They would just need to know how like quantity of wood chips, and also coordinate some kind of date and time where someone would be able to be there to, I guess,
Right, and verify or
yeah, which I'm also happy to be the one to do that. If anyone's interested, we can try to coordinate it around other schedules, but I'm happy to sort of be the point person for that. The one thing that did come up in terms of not necessarily concerns, but considerations is potential overgrowth onto the walking path. I know we had talked about like maintenance for the first couple of years to kind of get the garden into its rhythm, and I'm going to reach out to the Girl Scouts once we have more concrete information about starting to kind of put things together, and see if they're down for committing to the first couple of years for maintenance. They just wanted to make sure that that area wouldn't get completely overgrown, that people wouldn't be able to access it if no one's going to be sort of tasked with pruning it, I guess. So I wanted to kind of bring that up before we coordinate anything.
I think it's a good consideration to keep in mind for the design, and probably think about a mow strip along the edge of the pathways, or incorporating something that's really low mow or no mow, like a fescue strip. That's probably sound anyway.
Okay. I had brought up the idea of I know the wattle fences are much more ecologically sound. They were just concerned about being able to mow up to the barrier and not have the mower kind of like mow down the sticks unintentionally. So I didn't know if we could also maybe talk about a little bit more of like a secure border around it, just so that the barriers are clear and it doesn't accidentally get. And obviously Greg said he would go over with whoever's in charge of mowing and like show them the barriers anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue, but just in case, we might want to think about that too.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree on the mow edge or low growing. I mean, it'd be great if we could get some, something intended to be super low, like pussy toes, or like some of the smaller rushes around the edges. I think in terms of like, the pruning idea, I think that would just mean we wanted to make sure any bushes or shrubbery are probably well back. And that would be something that I would, well, I would tend to ask Jenny about, or otherwise do a lot of research. And if the average is 6 to 8 foot, I'd probably put it 10 foot back from the, at full size. I'd probably put it 10 foot back from the, that sort of thing. But that's also, I think, going to limit potential shrubs a lot, because most of the natives I look at are relatively large, but maybe there's some smaller ones we can.
Yeah, we can definitely spec some low growing. It's upland. It's like, I keep thinking about it as like a riparian buffer, but it's really not. That's not the area of the site. So like that kind of opens up a potential plant list. There's a couple species I have in mind that I think would do really well and would be quite compact.
In terms of the edging, what would we do for edging instead of? Because I don't know, like I'd rather not do like a standard plastic whatever, and I don't know of any other, like off the top of my head, like stone, plastic, and wattle are the only things I could think of that we could do for or just not have an edge. But then not having an edge would put us into like mulching territory, like consistent mulching territory. And I would also personally like to not do yearly mulches or whatever, but like,
Yeah, it's an increase in upkeep.
yeah.
Definitely want to keep the upkeep kind of to a minimum. I think anything that could potentially fall on DPW, they don't want to be responsible for.
Right, of course, yeah. I mean, I think the flip side of the wattle fence and potentially being hit with the mower is, I think, to a certain extent, especially if we can, if the Girl Scouts are bought into helping maintain the wattle fence. Like it kind of doesn't matter if it gets knocked around a little bit because it is just a natural pile of sticks that are somewhat semi-constrained. So hypothetically, it gets hit, it gets mowed over a little bit, and that's fine. When the next work part of it comes through, just kind of rebuilds it. But if there are better ideas for edging, I'm all ears.
I also will mention I took a drive down there with Ava last week, and she didn't have any concerns about the proximity to, there's a stormwater basin is one of the little things, and then one of them is like a sort of a I guess wetland recreation, and she didn't have concerns about plantings going up to either of those. So we have as much free reign kind of up to them as we need. So that's good news.
Yeah.
That's great.
I wasn't on camera for my dancing. But that's okay.
I saw it. It moved a little bit.
Trying to hide. Oh well.
I wonder if we could even do just like a little bit of something next to the wattle, whether it be just like a little bit of rock or a little bit of mulch.
Early on, I mean, yeah, we can definitely so we could put the wattle like in from wherever we have the chip drop go down
Yes.
initially, but over time that's gonna go away.
But over, yeah.
I mean, I think to a certain extent, I think like just making sure that we don't care that whatever's at the edge gets mowed, but is very obvious is probably the way to.
What I'm thinking is, I'm wondering, I mean, we probably want to incorporate grasses into this design regardless. And I'm thinking that, not that I want to do like a hard edge of grasses, but if we have grasses along the edge, they can easily be mowed over. Like it's fine. I think they would be pretty clear as a delineation. And if they get hit with the mower, that is totally fine. Actually, can I share my screen? I've been looking for something while we were talking, but this is, this is like a bigger scale than I would want to do. This is not like a native grass variety, but something like this that's like clearly the edge, and then you could just mow right up to it or right under it might be one possibility.
As long as it's short enough that it doesn't block vision into the rest of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I would be like, great. This is a much bigger grass than I would be thinking we'd work with. But even like a pen sedge or something like that, that's not super aggressive, low growing, no mow. But if you can just kind of go right up to it. That might be my first thought here.
Yeah, and then if it gets hit, so a little bit of grass gets mowed or whatever, a little bit of it gets mowed.
Yeah, I mean, over time, we'll want to make sure that it is stuff that is like some of the rushes or sedges that I planted in my yard. At least one of them I pulled because I thought it was grass, and I had to label it later because it looks too close. The second planting I had to actually label properly.
That sounds like a good best practice to keep in mind. And flagging out our areas if it's a seed mix or if we're putting plugs in.
For that, Sophie, is just the verbal that we can have an intention to have that sort of barrier good enough, or do we need to have like a specific list of things?
Like to report back to whoever's going to be mowing the area,
or to DPW or whatever.
Honestly, Greg didn't seem too concerned about it. It was something he mentioned. I think if we have, they also mentioned proper signage. If there's proper signage that delineates like this is a no-mow area and we put the signs on the edge, like he said that it shouldn't be an issue and he'll make them aware of an incoming project. So I don't think that they're too picky necessarily about how it's blocked off as long as it's clear and I can easily communicate with them what we end up deciding. They kind of gave us free reign on that too. So but that's kind of probably a secondary conversation to the initial planning about like actually getting the site prepped. So I wanted to ask if there was any further kind of, Jenny, and if there isn't, no worries at all, like calculations about the amount of square footage that we were looking at for the site. And then I can report that back to DPW and then maybe get a better idea of the amount of wood chips that we'll need for the space.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not have a chance to map that out as I wanted to. While we've been talking, I pulled up Mass Mapper to get like a really rough area, which I'll be able to, I can share my screen in a second. Like this is not very precise. And here's what I'm looking at right now. And unfortunately, this is as far as I can zoom in.
Mhm.
So the area in like sort of this blue outline is just like a polygon for that whole area. So it would be not including the path in the middle. So let's see, that's at the absolute outside 6,000 square feet. I'm going to guess that it's about half of that area.
Okay.
Given most strip, path, curves, this probably goes too far over.
I was gonna say that, and that like southwestern side, we were talking about not putting the mulch down because it was more likely to be trees, and we had no way to
Yeah.
area it properly.
Let's see if I can get a little bit more precise. There's one area that's say 1,500 square feet, and another one sort of in there. This is like a really not a very granular tool. Okay, so say at most both sides of that path are 1,500 square feet. So yeah, still a total of 3, but that's definitely a generous estimate.
Okay, that's good to know. I think maybe it was my bad that I wasn't a little bit more clear about like the size of it. Greg was like, "What do you think it is? 10 by 10?" And I was like,
yeah, and I meant to get that back to you. So sorry.
Don't worry about it at all. Seriously, no worries.
There.
I think as long as we just give them the amount of wood chips that we need with a kind of a rough estimate, he didn't seem to have any concerns about it. It didn't seem like it would be much of a big deal. So no worries.
I do have the measurements, so can, come up with a more precise measurement at some point soon.
Perfect. Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you.
You bet. Also, for those who weren't with us on the site visit, that's Eastworks. That's
Renee. I took Renee down there during the event.
Okay, so we're all on the up and up then.
Yeah,
Great.
Cool. What? Okay, so the other thing we need to figure out is like how much of it we actually want to mark off. Do we want to go for like the whole area? Do we want to do like a sub area for starters? Like, do we want to wait till we have? We probably want to wait till we have like some kind of map or overlay from Jenny before we make that call, I would guess.
Did we resolve? I know we weren't doing any deliberation during our site visit, so I think we were just discussing what options could look like for site prep, if I'm remembering correctly. Just kind of flipping through my notes here. We were discussing mulch or like heavy wood chips, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of invasive pressure. I think that would be reasonable. We could assess tarping depending on our timing and how much of our budget we want to dedicate to a big piece of plastic. Another idea would be getting a skid steer to like scrape off the top inch or two. I don't know if that's something that DPW would be able to do. Yeah, those are the like non-chemical methods that I can think of for site prep, which is pretty flexible in terms of timing. I would say just like generally, we would want to, everything other than scraping would be like, we could get started on that this fall. If we're doing scraping, we wouldn't need to do it until before, just like right before the install. But I also don't know if that's like really within our purview.
To a certain extent, from the standpoint of like both educating the Girl Scouts families, and maybe even a little bit less so educating the public about things that they could do personally, I'd like to scraping because like it's the one that's least accessible to anybody else.
Yeah.
Now, if we wanted to also teach people how to like think about like everything's an experiment all the time, always, we could consider like tarping one side and chipping the other, or tarping a section and chipping the rest of it, to like cut down on plastic. Or if we end up with one side being like grassland meadow and the other side being more flowers and shrubs and stuff, we could also consider tarping part of each side and chipping the rest of them, so that we get like this natural experiment going on. And I guess speaking personally, because I really hate plastic, my vote would be just chip it all, tarp part of it. In order would be chip it all, tarp part of it as an experiment, and then tarp in my personal order. But that's definitely a thing that we can either, I don't know if we want to like vote on that at some point, or if people want to talk about it more or whatever. But
yeah, that works for me, and I like the public education of a natural experiment.
And we can also write it up and blog that, and so then it becomes available on the website as to like, this is why we did it this way, and then we can have QR codes on our little edging signs for like here's what you can watch, and here's the, here's the process page. Oh, we could even have like a project page on the website. That might be
That'd
good.
be really fun.
As of our, ties into our experiment with the invasives,
Exactly.
where it's like, here's all the things that we're trying that you can also try and see what works best on your property or.
And just point out that this is backyard science. This is not like we're not being true scientists, but we are using a little bit of the method of observe, try things, observe, and then change things.
I like that a lot. I also think it's not a tough site. Like there is not a lot of invasive pressure. Like it's basically just grass. So it's not that, I don't think it'll be that like complicated or risky. I love the experiment idea. I do also think if we end up working on a site that it seems like tarping would be the most expedient, like if it seems like it's a site that wood chipping is not appropriate for, these things are really durable. So if we buy one, we could reuse it for future use. And just because I was curious, I just am looking at sources and it looks like a silage tarp that's 24 by 100, which is on the small side, would be about $250. So just for a sense of perspective on what we'd be looking at there.
That's good to know. I think I mentioned on our site visit, we're working with about $700 in budget.
Yeah, totally. So that would be a significant chunk.
Jenny, can you repeat that cost estimate again?
Yeah. So this is, there's, a lot of different sources that we could use. Here's one option, different sizes, silage tarp, 24 by 100 would be $255, not including shipping, which would probably be another chunk of change. So let's say 300.
Okay.
They are big. Like we would need to figure out, transport and storage, and like they would need to live in somebody's garage and things like that.
The question that immediately comes to mind is, you can get these, kind of residential blue tarps or camo tarps in a variety of sizes and for considerably less than that. It just seems, this is a trip to Tractor Supply or Lowe's.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that we can economize a bit on that. Particularly
I think that would be a really interesting option for the experimentation angle. I'm only thinking of these because this is just like what I've used for work. So that's what I can speak to, but I totally get where you're coming from.
I'm the homeowner trying to figure out how am I going to do this in my yard.
Yeah, that's a really
gravitate to something quick and easy. So, and if we're not going to do a big area with tarping, let's do something cheap and simple.
Yeah.
Great.
So it sounds like we're landing on maybe, oh, wait a second. So maybe wood chips on the side that's flatter, and then we could try the tarp thing on the more steep side.
Yeah.
Because we were worried that wood chips
Yep.
wouldn't work on
Very
that
good idea.
side.
Yep.
I like where this is going. Okay.
Like that. Yeah, and then so we have a double reason for it, which is even better, and that we can probably make that small enough. Like I don't think we need a tarp that's like something that's going to solarize though. So like I'm not entirely sure what like Tractor Supply has. Like they're blue tarp is the normal thing, and I don't think that really checks.
So what are the characteristics you need for something that would be effectively at baking what's underneath? Do you need black? Is that what you're saying, or educate me here?
I think I don't know. I think you want black, but Jenny?
So I think you can do black or clear, and they kind of work in different ways but have similar outcomes. Yeah, but on the other hand, I'm like, why wouldn't a blue tarp work? Is it not it's too pervious? Because I imagine they're designed to breathe a little bit. I don't know. That might be worth looking into.
Well, one tarp's not going to cover the whole thing, so maybe we end up with different colors of tarp.
Yeah.
Our science experiment also
It keeps
includes
growing.
different types of tarps. It is a really interesting idea too, because it shows people that there's options to try. Like if one option in your yard doesn't work, then there's a different option. So
yeah.
I think anything that has like a science experiment component to it is probably great for public outreach.
Well, so one random person on Reddit R Landscaping did a blue tarp versus black tarp for 2 to 3 months, and uh, the many weeds died, but the grass that they were trying to kill pretty much completely survived under the blue tarp.
Oh, wow.
The black tarp completely wiped out. This is a random sample of something on Reddit.
Right.
So nothing is. That's the first hit because the internet is terrible these days. But
I'm also looking at Reddit, and the other thing that I'm seeing is like tarp on slope is bad idea for flooding.
Oh.
So we are all just learning a lot here.
it is right above a water catchment though, so that might not actually be the worst case scenario. But it is also above the path, and we want the path to not get jacked up. So yeah, okay, maybe we don't tarp that then.
So how do we handle the slope?
How do we feel about, I know like we love the idea of having it on both sides. How do we feel about having it like long on that one flat side and then a little bit short on the other side where
Yeah,
like until it gets really steep?
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm a little bit because of the limited funds we have, like I would rather do a little bit closer and more obvious in a smaller area, but you know, I'm not. So
That's really smart. Start small, do a really good job there, and then expand over time.
Yeah,
Totally agree. Yeah.
smaller. I mean, it's still, you know, we could still do a fairly expansive area,
Yeah.
I think, but like just not try and maximize area wise, and instead kind of maximize on like initial look, because we are doing the you know, social engineering of trying to convince people that chaotic is still beautiful.
For sure. The other thing is like with the slope, I think we were talking about this on the site visit a little bit. It's all coming back to me now. If we do something like low shrubs on that side, we might not need to do that much site prep. We can just kind of pop them right in.
Yep.
So maybe we can start with the more intensive site prep area that we feel like we can do a good job on, meditate on that a little bit further, and then that could be like a phase 2, and maybe it doesn't need that much prep after all.
Yeah, I like it.
I do too.
Yeah, so I do think we should probably get like actual measurements and go mark out with like string and wire before we like ask DPW for chips. I don't know, like I kind of would love personally to ask if any of the Girl Scouts would come like help spread chips or whatever, like if the DPW just gave us a pile in the middle of the areas where we could just like have them with rakes to get started. But like I don't know how much they want to do, and how much is support versus how much is like asking for other people's labor. Like I have weird. I'm simultaneously thinking we're educating and feeling like maybe I'm just like trying to get somebody to like start that volunteer base. So I don't really know, even in my own head, what is which.
I think that that's something that they would love to do. And since things have kind of been very administrative, getting the grant, figuring things out, I think involving them in a way like this is something they would really like.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to Angela tomorrow and kind of let her know what we're thinking, engage maybe some of their schedules. I mean, obviously they're in school, so I'd imagine it would be later afternoon. I'm happy to do like a Friday morning, or they can't do Friday mornings. Oh my gosh. A weekend day. I'm like, I'm off Friday, so everyone's off Friday. Yeah, so I'll reach out to Angela and kind of gauge their interest. I bet that's something that they're going to be into.
Great.
So yeah, that sounds great.
And then maybe we can have, if Jenny, if at any point you do get the maps done, and like I'm not trying to pressure you or anything, but if you do, maybe we can have an ad hoc, another site visit, and we can throw down some. We can throw down some string, and if we could get just a few like wood slats or something. I don't know if the DPW has anything we could have, or whether we need to provide that, so that we could like string the edges approximately.
I will ask about that. Yeah.
So I think we can probably kind of put a pin in this. We will react and try and do a site visit if Jenny, has time to put the maps together. If not, we will, maybe consider it again at next meeting.
Sounds great. Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate your input.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sophie will let us know if the Girl Scouts want to come in and spread wood chips around.
Yes. Will do.
Thank you for liaising, Sophie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is fantastic. This is really exciting and fun. And it's like providing just the perfect amount of like momentum, I feel.
Yeah, and I could not do this without your expertise. Like I'm not a gardener. I love it, but I love watching it. I have yet to be a part of it, so this is exciting. I value
You
your-
will be once
I
we're
will
done
be.
with you.
I love it.
Okay, Mayor's Monarch Pledge annual report.
Yes, thank you. Sorry to monopolize the first half of the meeting. But Mayor LaChapelle signed on to the Mayor's Monarch Pledge in March. I mean, obviously she's not here anymore, but we do still have to complete the annual report that kind of just like provides progress and updates on the action items that we committed to. And they're asking for some very specific quantitative figures. Like they were asking about like the amount of plants that were given away at a seed swapping event. They are asking about how many people attended the event, things like that. They're asking about the square footage of area that invasive plants had been removed from. Just very specific questions. I'm happy to go through them if we want to talk about it now, or I can just send a list of like a couple of things. And if you guys could get back to me at some point, the report is due the 1st of December, and it's not a very thorough report. I kind of just have to give them some bullet points and some numbers. But those are not figures that I have. If they're not figures that you guys have either, I'm happy to just take an estimate and we'll call it a day.
Would it be helpful to have input on those estimates if we're all sort of making it up at the same basis?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'd send it out and be aware that the best we'll be able to do is a estimate in the form of a WAG.
That's perfect. That's more than I have right now. So that would be fantastic. So I'll just send you kind of the specific questions. And then I'll make sure that report is submitted by the 1st. And then when the new pledging cycle comes around, I'm going to reach out to Salem and see if he wants to sign on to it also. So we can kind of keep the momentum with those sorts of things. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And we can also, like, knowing that those are things we might have to do, we can try and like keep more like kind of record, like better guess records. We're not going to go out there with like laser measurements for anything. But also like the numbers are going to be pretty low for startsies. So hopefully this next year, but you know, also for the next year, I will totally count all the Girl Scouts that come out as volunteers engaged.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. And if they're helpful figures for you guys to have too, just for like your own knowledge, then feel free. Otherwise, I mean, they're not going to check my work. So I think an estimate is perfectly fine.
I mean,
at some point, like May, we have to do our Xerces report. So
right.
Probably good to have
and
some
also,
data.
if we ever get to the point where we have like the people in time to like be looking for grants, that sort of thing is going to be necessary. So getting in the habit is a really good idea. Like getting some spreadsheets, making some estimates that are reasonable. And then, you know, it will be useful someday as long as we manage to keep going and keep building. Slow though it may be.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. I'll send those out tomorrow morning. No rush, but also it does need to be in by the 1st of December. So that's the deadline.
No. That for this group, that's a rush. We'll have a rush mentality about that.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. I think it's it's nice. It's healthy.
Okay. Thank you.
Renee, would you like to main the community meeting and invasive removal?
From this past weekend. Let's see. We had 2 volunteers or 2 community members come to not only the coffee hour, but also to help us spread some. We did sunchokes. We did milkweed, we did butterfly weed, and we did goldenrod. We just kind of spread seeds all around where we've taken invasives out. And they were happy to be helping, and we had great conversations. Several people on the bike path stopped to talk to us and asked us what we were doing, and seemed really interested in all of the aspects of what was happening. We had a boost because there was a beautiful, oh gosh, it just popped out of my head, the plant that was blooming.
Oh, yeah, there was an aster.
An aster blooming still in November, and it was just full of floral visitors of all different types, bees and wasps and flies, and we were pumped to see that, and that really kind of just adds to the excitement as we're spreading the seeds all over, knowing that we're hoping that at least some of the things we planted will come up, and that alone will be such a massive improvement. So it was great.
And so one of the both the people that came, I mean, we probably did this in the wrong order. We should have talked about the seed swap workshop first. But both people who came, no, one of the people who came was an attendant of the seed swap workshop. The other person was somebody who had been intended to come for a while and also volunteers for the Manhattan. And the one that had also been at the seed swap, since we talked at the seed swap about potentially trying to plant sunchokes, brought us 2 bags full of sunchokes that she had taken out of planters in her yard, which means we took the risk on them because it was a very noble offering, and also because they were in planters, so we're less worried about any jumping worms that was on them. But that actually provided the vast majority of the sunchokes that we put into the ground.
2 big bags.
I had 2 pounds. So I had a bag that was 6 inches by 4 inches volume wise, and she had 2 big grocery bags that were about half full each of sunchoke roots. So, so we got a lot more sunchokes in than we otherwise would have, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the spring. See if they manage to come up. Cool. We finally got flyers printed, and I'm starting to flyer. If anybody wants flyers or a digital copy of the flyer so that you can print and post your own, please let me know.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And I should have brought some tonight and taken them down to Marigold. Not gonna do it. I didn't do that. Oh well. Anyway, okay, so seed swap.
Jenny, you want to go?
Sure. I think the seed swap was very successful. Thank you to everyone who came. We had, I think, 3 members of the public attend. Does that sound right?
So
I got 1 sign up for the mailing list. At least 1 person was already on our mailing list. So was that Marcy who brought the sunchokes?
It was.
Okay, awesome. So she's on our mailing list now. Fabulous. Yeah, it was a small group, but we had, I think, a really good time. We processed a lot of seeds. We swapped a lot of seeds, and now we know that we have a lot for the January or whenever upcoming winter sowing workshop. So I actually think it was just really helpful to have that as a preparatory activity. Library is great to work with. Annex works really well. I think one of the takeaways for me, at least, and this was a conversation we were having with the library staff person who was helping us out, is that Saturday mornings are tough. They're pretty prime time real estate, and they find that their weekend events are not always super well attended. So we might want to think about focusing on weeknight evenings and just do some A/B testing and see how that lands. I also think the outreach for this, probably we should have, done a larger run up. We didn't do all the flyering we wanted to do. And I think that's also part of the low turnout. But I think it was such a productive, morning, and we had really good conversations with the folks that came. So I'm 2 thumbs up about the seed swap.
And even just
converting
somebody to joining, especially if Marcy comes again, and then
right.
that's huge.
I think it was interesting for me personally too, to see the process of separating the seeds and putting them in envelopes, and I had talked with one of the community members that came to the coffee hour this past weekend. We were saying how the library could really use some packs of native seeds versus just edible vegetables and things, and so on a side note of perspective, thing to do would be to, whether it's before or after we do the winter sowing, but also to be putting see if we can add a native plant section to the library's seed library. Again, I don't know if it's beneficial to do that before the seed swap or after, just wait to see what we have for leftovers. I mean, the winter sowing, or wait to see until after to see what we have left. But one of the community members that we saw last weekend said that she would love to help out with that too, with stocking the library and working on that as a little project. So again, fun for me and interesting for me to get to see how to separate the seeds, packaging the seeds. And we had a lot of seeds, considering that there wasn't a huge group that showed up. It was really like a lot of bang for our buck. I felt like, where even just each of us bringing a few different types of seeds or a variety of seeds, everybody packaged up seeds in their little envelopes, but we still had a lot of seeds left. So that was really exciting to see for a sharing event, or for something like adding to the library's seed variety that they have there. So it was good.
I'll also mention that some of the resources that Renee and I put together are hosted on our website, so those will be reusable for future events, or we can, just start building out our resource library.
Yeah, that's another great thing, is to know that anything we're finding through all of these events, even if they're not a huge success as far as turnout, it is something where, as we're finding more information and putting that on the website, we're really building those resources. So that's exciting too.
Cool. Great. I am going to bounce the advocacy letter of support ahead of the bees ordinance bit, because I don't know if folks are going to want to pull at 7:30 or whether we want to keep going a little bit. So, Hal.
Okay. Well, I drafted a letter to send to Senator Vilas and Representative Gomez, and sent that around for consideration. So, hopefully you like what you saw. And if that's a yes, then our discussion needs to be one of, well, how do we send this in terms of who signs it, letterhead, things like that. With very minor edits to the first and last paragraphs, I drafted a near identical document for testimony to the Joint Committee on, forgive me, what is the Joint Committee? Natural Resources and something or another.
That sounds right.
And even though on their website they said they wanted written testimony within 2 weeks from when they held the hearing, that 2-week period would have ended day before yesterday. My idea is screw it and let's send it anyways. And we can take credit for having done it. And again, we have the same questions, letterhead, who signs, how to send. On my own, I edited the same documents, and as a private individual, sent this to Vilas, Gomez, and the committee. So that's done. And I actually heard from Senator Vilas' chief of staff this afternoon.
Oh, cool.
And the upshot of that was, thank you. Senator Vilas is a major in the National Guard and is currently deployed on the south border. So I will bring this up with him when I can. But he's otherwise occupied at the moment. So that's my update. And really, first off, do people like what they saw?
Yes.
And assuming that, how do we proceed from here?
I had basically like 1 or 2 minor edits, which was essentially like, rather than we intend to take, I would probably go with we are taking, even though it's like a bit of a,
Sure. That's easy.
And then their formatting is inconsistent.
Oh, well, yeah, that's probably typical for me.
But yeah, and I love the, I definitely love the stuff about, the fact that like the neonics don't appear like aren't proven to actually increase, do all that much for yields anyway.
Yeah.
Was really nice. So that was great. I doubt this is available yet, but I would be real curious to see, what was the question I had there, but, yeah, and I love the experiences in Quebec piece. I was a little bit curious, about similar laws, like, but it's probably been too recent. I'd want to know like how many people are taking advantage of the waivers, because the waivers make me nervous. Like, this is just me learning about the bill, not even necessarily about the
Right.
letter. And I think something is better than nothing. So I
Yeah,
don't want to.
and I did not draft this out of whole cloth. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Absolutely.
And I think this was originally on the Xerxes Society website.
Yep.
So I used that as a template and adopted it liberally.
Yep.
So
Nice. I love it. Yeah, in terms of letterhead, this would mostly be like a thing for Ronnie, I guess, to see if we could get, like, Sophie, do we have like Easthampton letterhead that we could print this on?
We do. I'm just not sure if I would double check with the mayor's office just to make sure I'm assuming it would be accessible to committee members to sign off on like the Easthampton letterhead, but I just don't know if it's only accessible to like a city council. I don't know. I would ask the mayor's office, but we do have established templates that say Easthampton that you could just like sign at the bottom. So,
So this is probably a combination of Connie and Lindsay.
Yep. Yeah.
So I can take that to ask that question. And then I would say, as for who signs, I don't see any reason for us not just to all like get together and like try and get everybody that's available to sign it. Like,
Sure.
all put our
Yep.
signatures on. I mean, I don't know how this thing is done, but like, why not, right?
Yeah, does it need to be like a wet ink signature? Or could we just like type our names and that would be our signing onto it?
that I would think the latter is fine. I mean, I think, if we could send it electronically, it's easier for everybody involved. And to Jenny's question directly, I think, just, typing in our names as committee members,
Sure.
that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
When I said who should sign it, I was thinking, Sean as chair, but I like the all for one and one for all approach.
I will say, I want everybody to not mark the calendars for the one time I was going to be more analog than everybody else.
So,
Duly noted.
so we've got to put a pin in this and wait for some updates on things. Okay. I can work with this. I don't think this legislation is on any sort of incredibly fast track.
It's Massachusetts. Nothing is on the fast track.
Okay, well,
No.
thank you.
What's that?
I just said thank you.
Yeah, no, it's probably not on the fast
Yep.
track. Is there anything, do we want to vote on accepting? Oh, get that.
Aww.
It's not a lab cat, but I thought I should incorporate her into the meeting as well.
Absolutely. Do we want to vote on accepting the proposed language, or think that's worthwhile? I have no idea. We might as well. I think that's an official thing. So
Sure.
yeah. It still needs the whole motion and second. I guess second motion. I move to approve the letter with minor edits as written.
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
I like
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Favor. Yep.
Thank you, Hal.
Yeah, I think.
My pleasure.
We did something official. Check that out.
Very scientific, so good thing we have a scientist.
Okay, do folks want to take the time to like have me like kind of read out what the brief thing I made up for amending the ordinance, or do you just want to look at the digital version that I sent out and we can talk about it next time? Speaking of things, there's not really a hurry on.
I mean, I think it looks, when I first look at it through, it's effective, it's simple, it's direct. I'm all for it.
Did you send it? I missed it.
I sent it like 20 minutes,
20 minutes before the meeting.
Oh, okay.
It was very unfair.
Okay.
It was very unfair.
I'm looking at it, and I think I will need to like take some time to like absorb it, or if you want to offer the like nutshell.
No, I honestly think folks should take some time to observe it. Like
Okay.
I'm not in a hurry on this. I wanted to keep the idea moving. So
Yeah.
it was also pertinent because they sent out my letter about whether I want to renew as a committee member, and just for everybody's thing, I'm going to go ahead and renew as a committee member. My main thrust with that is that even though like I wish I had been more effective and I felt like I could give some space, I also, if we are going to make this ordinance change, I don't know what the transition period is necessarily going to look like with the potential for Jamie and Hal and Connie and our empty spot to also transition. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to like end up in a situation where we only had Renee and Jenny left. So
Hi, Jenny.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
at the very, very, very least, if we put this forward, if it gets passed, then I want to make sure that we have enough people to like kind of fully staff the committee.
Yeah.
Until such time as we can build it back up. So I should have brought that piece of paper down with me so I could put it in the box, but I didn't, so it has to come out.
Okay.
And I got mine too.
Oh, nice.
Also forgot on.
That's good. Cool.
Thank you for putting this together. I'm looking forward to reading it in more detail.
And obviously we'll want like Connie's feedback and stuff about it, but yeah.
It looks very official.
I may or may not have used modern tooling to put it together. And by that I mean I used an LLM. It's a chatbot. I use a chatbot.
It comes clean.
I'm now that guy. I have become that guy. I'm embarrassed. I'm literally blushing. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of this at all. But like, moving. Okay. So we will talk about that more next time. Hopefully with more people. And now, one other minor administrative point. We're no longer allowed to use the recurring meeting link unless we come up with an actual recurring meeting. Because for some reason the IT department wants to force everybody to actually like be at the same day and time, which I find somewhat frustrating. Because I don't think it matters. And the recurring meeting we had was nice, so that means it's another piece of like admin work I have to do before every single meeting, which is again kind of annoying. But on the plus side, they now have it set up so that I can add. The reason, Jenny, you were able to like host share is because you were pre-seated as a co-host, so every time I fill out the form every single month, everybody will get pre-seated as a co-host. So that which will also mean that, for instance, if I can't make it, you'll be able to run it from your own machine, from home.
Got
As
it.
long as you use the email address that I've got on our Bees group email, they'll be able to log in and co-host or host, as the case may be, so you'll be able to let people in, you'll be able to do all those things, which I think that part is very nice. So all of that said, what do we want to do for next meeting? And do we want to revisit? I don't think we should try and revisit a recurring meeting when there's only 4 of us here. I think we probably need other people, so we might not even want to get to like full recurring until.
Yeah, I'm not real clear on what we mean by a recurring meeting.
I mean, second Tuesday of every month, or 15th of every month. Has to be something that you can put into a computer that says that, so it can automatically generate when the next meeting is.
Personally, I like the flexibility of.
I know, right? Like it's been it's not perfect, but it's been working for us.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, whatever.
Yep, is what it is.
December already.
I know. And I'm fully into the waiting for the light to start returning on myself, like the
Yeah.
earlier night. I mean, I hate daylight. I hate the end of daylight savings. I love daylight savings.
So we'd be looking at maybe the week of the 15th.
Yeah, I think probably. I mean, even if we wanted to go a little bit early, I wouldn't hate it. Like if we tried to do the week of the 7th, might actually be. And to a certain extent, I think either the week of the 7th or the week of the 15th.
I'm good with either.
Yeah. Are we wanting to stick with Wednesdays or wanting to go to Thursdays? I don't like Tuesdays anymore.
Okay.
Wednesdays are better, but I could make Thursdays work.
Yeah,
They appear to be wide open. Shocking.
Yeah.
I can do any night of the week, either of those weeks.
Yeah, the calendar's pretty open too, so the calendar is slightly more open on the 11th, so I'm gonna say the 11th.
okay.
11th, sticking with 6:30.
Is that a Thursday?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I can make that work.
Okay.
Great.
All right, so I will send, since I actually have my email up this time, I will send that request now.
$6:30 again?
Yes, I think, unless anybody has any other time ideas.
That works.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
The 11th is a Thursday. Okay, somebody want to do the ceremonies?
I move that we adjourn our meeting.
It's been moved that we adjourn the November 12th meeting of the Easthampton Bees Committee. Is there a second?
Seconded.
No.
Seconded by both Renee and Vinnie.
There it is.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so we're done.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.